When most of us hear the word dementia, we tend to think of memory loss as this single, straightforward thing, information that's just gone, poof. But what if it's not always that simple? What if, for many people, the memory isn't actually deleted, it's just misplaced? Today we're diving into this really crucial distinction and how dementia can work. Is it a problem with storing the memory or a problem with retrieving it? This is the big question, isn't it? And it changes everything. Think about it. Is a memory you can't recall truly erased, like a file you've dragged to the trash bin? Or is it still in there, just locked away somewhere and you've lost the key? This one idea is how neurologists start to separate two very different worlds of dementia. So it really boils down to two main scenarios. On one side, we have a storage problem. The brain literally fails to save the information correctly from the get-go. To use an analogy, the book you were trying to add to the library, it never even made it onto the shelf. But on the other side, we have a retrieval problem. Here, the book is in the library, safe and sound on a shelf, but the card catalog is a complete mess, so there's no way to find it. This whole idea, storage versus retrieval, is going to be our guide. All right, let's start with that storage problem. In clinical terms, this is what we call the cortical profile of dementia. And the best way to think about it is like the brain's main hard drive. The cerebral cortex is physically damaged. This is the place where memories are supposed to be filed away for good. So, how does this actually look in a person? Well, clinicians describe it with this really powerful trio of symptoms. First, amnestic, which means really severe memory loss. Then aphasic, which is major trouble with language. And finally, agnosic, which is a difficulty recognizing familiar things, even faces or everyday objects. That combination is the absolute classic signature of this type of dementia. So what's causing all this damage? It's physical. We're talking about brain cells, neurons actually dying off. Plus, you get this buildup of junk, these toxic proteins called plaques and tangles that literally clog up the works inside the cortex itself. That's why those memories can't get stored properly in the first place. Now, the most famous example of this storage problem dementia is, of course, Alzheimer's disease. Another major one in this category is frontotemporal dementia, or FTD. Okay, now let's flick the coin and look at the other side. So here we have the retrieval problem, what we call the subcortical profile. In this case, the hard drive is mostly okay. The issue is the brain's internal search engine. The data is there, but the system you use to find it is broken. And just listen to how different the clinical signature is here. Dysexecutive means there are problems with planning, organizing, and multitasking. Slowed refers to a really dramatic slowing down of thinking. And apathetic means a big loss of motivation. It's a totally different feel from what we just talked about. The damage here isn't on the surface of the brain, in the cortex. It's happening deeper inside, in those subcortical structures and in the white matter, which is basically all the communication wiring. This causes what's called a circuit disconnection. It's like someone went in and cut the cables connecting the library shelves to the main computer. And the common examples of this retrieval problem are things like the dementia we see in Parkinson's disease or Huntington's disease. Okay, so now that we've met our two different profiles, let's put them head to head and really see just how different they are. Okay, this right here is probably the single most important difference in practice. With cortical dementia, because the memory never got stored, giving someone a hint or a cue doesn't do anything. You can't find a book that was never put in the library. But with subcortical dementia, a cue can be a game changer. It can suddenly unlock the memory because the information is there, it's just hard to get to. And look at this. The contrast is just night and day. Early motor symptoms, things like tremors, stiffness, or trouble walking, are really rare in the early stages of cortical dementias, like Alzheimer's. But for subcortical dementias, they are a hallmark feature, often showing up right from the beginning. What about higher level stuff like language? Well, in the cortical types, you see profound problems finding words or even understanding language. That's aphasia. And also with using tools or doing complex actions, that's apraxia. In the subcortical types, those abilities are usually okay. The speech itself might get very quiet or slurred, but that's more of a motor control issue, not a language problem. And here is another huge giveaway: mental speed. In early cortical dementia, a person can often still think pretty quickly. But in subcortical dementia, a really dramatic slowing of thought, the technical term is bradyphrenia, is a core feature, and it's noticeable right away. That search engine is just running incredibly slowly. So, we've gone through all these comparisons. Let's boil it all down to the key clinical clues, the things that really help doctors and specialists tell these two profiles apart. This is basically the cheat sheet. Are there major language problems? You're probably thinking cortical. Are there a lot of early motor symptoms? That screams subcortical. Does the person's memory get a whole lot better if you give them a hint? That strongly points to a subcortical, retrieval type problem. And finally, is their thinking just painfully slow? Again, you're thinking subcortical. And this all makes sense when you look at where the damage is happening. Cortical dementia's primary hit is on the medial temporal lobe. That's the brain's save button for new memories, and the cortex. Subcortical dementia, on the other hand, messes up these deep brain loops that manage things like planning and movement. And this also explains why different brain chemicals are involved: acetylcholine for memory and dopamine for movement.
And so we'll leave you with this idea to chew on. When we stop thinking about dementia as just memory loss and start seeing it as a specific problem of storage versus retrieval, of damaged hard drives versus broken circuits, it opens up whole new ways of thinking. It frames the challenge not just as trying to prevent loss, but maybe, just maybe, as a challenge of restoring connections.